'03. I've coached at middle school. I've coached at Skyline. Coached at Warren County High School. I currently run my own wrestling club. I put a presentation together for my personal club, sent it to Coach Keel and some other colleagues through the wrestling community, and everybody gave me a huge thumbs up, and Coach wanted me to share what I have with you guys. Hopefully we have an open mind, because it is a little bit of a sensitive subject sometimes. I want to talk about the wrestler-parent relationship and some of the do's and don'ts, some of the bad things we do, some of the good things we do. I'm going to try and stick to what I have written, because it is quite a bit. All right. The goal here is to share my experiences from my many years coaching wrestling with a great group of parents, with the thought, our children practice so hard to get better at wrestling, shouldn't we be doing the same thing as parents? Wrestling is the hardest sport on earth. The demand on your body in preparation for competition alone is unmatched. Add the pressure of one-on-one competition on match day with the same physical and mental demand. I know a lot of adults that would shy away from the situation of equal stress. As parents, do we really want to add to the already grueling sport we have grown to love, or will learn to? I've been on every side of the conversation, from a competing wrestler with a crazy dad through all stages of the process, and a mom who was calm and collected as long as it was before the first whistle and after the last. I have a couple stories to make you feel not so crazy before we get into how we can be better wrestling parents and maximize our children's growth and relationship in wrestling and in life. My dad was nuts. Some of you grew up with me down there on the end. Yeah, a couple others. Dad was a very intense dude. He was only about 5'4". He was from New Jersey, and you could hear him from 6 blocks away at all times. A couple stories here, just so you don't feel so crazy. I remember having to ride in the back of the truck, like the bed, because of something I did at a wrestling tournament that day. Don't remember what it was. All I remember is Dad was pissed about something I did, and I wasn't allowed to ride the truck with it. Had to get in the back. And it was like Manassas. This is one of those days that I wished wrestling was a summer sport and not a winter sport. It was not a fun trip home. Friends got to ride in the cab, but I had to hop in the back. So there was another day that this is one my little brother remembered. He threw his brand new pair of Ray-Bans at me in the front seat of the truck. Bounced them off my head, broke the glasses, because of something I did at a wrestling tournament that day. It was my fault that the glasses were broken, too. So, and that was one that my little brother remembered. I didn't remember that one so much. Sorry. Like I said, I've been on every single side of wrestling, from a wrestler competing. My brother wrestled while I coached at high school, or coached with Coach Keel here at Skyline. My dad was gone. I was the one there for my brother Trevor. Trevor was very good at what he did, so the lows were few and far between. But when I was on, I was on. There's a bit of my dad in me sometimes. That's what kind of prompted. I'm trying, Coach.
You're all right. I'm just saying, yeah, there's a little bit of your dad.
Oh, okay. A little bit of my dad in me when we get fired up sometimes. It's very hard to control. One of the things that sticks out in my mind about my little brother, it was his junior year, it was the state finals. It didn't go our way, and I pretty much acted like an ass. I ruined one of the highlights of my little brother's career because I couldn't control my emotions, and he remembers that to this day. That is one thing through my long career of wrestling that I wish that I could change. As a father coach, my daughter Piper wrestles. That is by far the most difficult of the three that I've ever had to deal with. Like I said, Trevor was very good. I knew how to tune Dad out. She's tough to try and grasp how to handle this. That's why I wrote this. I'll never forget Piper's first jiu-jitsu match. She was 4 years old, and I was pissed. That's when I kind of realized that I needed to figure out how to back off a little bit and figure out what works for me and what are the right things and what are the wrong things. I have some ideas that I'll share at the end of this. Studies show that when asked why did you quit the sport, the athlete's number one answer was that it wasn't fun anymore. I don't like to accept that answer because of the sport culture we have in America right now. We have the NFL, we have the NBA, we have baseball, we have the UFC now, showcasing wrestlers. Everybody loves sports. So, is it really the sport wasn't fun, or is there something else underlying in the situation? I'm gonna lean to the other side of that, because sports are fun, or we would not have what we do in the pro sports we have. And the last thing I want is for my daughter to quit something she loves because of my actions. I've been there more than once, and I don't want that for her. I'm gonna run through this as fast as I can, as we've been talking through. I'll start with the practice relationship and go through the process from there. Keep in mind, every kid is different, so it is a process to find what works for you and your wrestler. Asking questions is not a bad thing. None of us have all the answers, but we can put the puzzle together. I believe, as a parent, my job in regards to practice, my number one job is to get my child to practice with all their gear and on time, with some food and a little water beforehand. Other than that, your job is done until practice is over. So go relax, crush some candies, like all my Walker Wrestling stuff on Facebook. All good clubs run closed practices. This is not something that is only us. My private club is a totally closed practice. We have reasons for that. I'm going to try and stick to the parent aspect of why we do this. I'll address the parent side of it. Even though the benefits to a wrestler can go way beyond just these examples, but that's another talk. Kids focus on coaches instead of parents. Kids no longer check for parents' approval. Kids act differently without the parent in the room. That's a big one. I had a couple new guys just over the past few months that when I shut down my practices to parents, the kid went a total 180. He went from couldn't do what I wanted him to do to he's one of the better kids in the room right now. And all it really took was the separation. The awkward dad outbursts are gone. That's a big help for everybody. Sometimes dads, even moms, get a little crazy during practice time. And it's better to try and keep that out of the mix as much as possible. One of the biggest reasons is that parents have no ammo for critique. So the why did you do that and why didn't you do that conversation turns into how was practice? Those are usually quite fun and productive for both. And gives your wrestler the chance to relearn by repeating. All in all, practice is fun, the kid is happy, and the parent's happy. Pretty much let us handle them during practice. Everybody deals with their kids all the time. Think of us as a babysitter. I'm okay with that. You know, you get an hour to yourself, sit in the truck, chat with parents. it's a good thing for them to learn on their own. Now for the few gyms and clubs that allow parents to stay, I must recommend for your child's sake, you voluntarily remove yourself. If you do stay, you must not be there in their eyes. You have to hide. This is kind of an art. I don't go into a lot of it because all of our rooms are closed, so we don't have to really worry about it. Keep in mind that a mean dad face is just as bad as yelling across the room. That is in regards to practices that you can see through windows. That is in regards to a lot of stuff. We make some mean faces. I actually interviewed about a dozen kids 2 months ago. And every single one of the kids had the complaint about mean dad face. Sometimes we don't even say anything, and our kid knows something's up. As adults, we have to try and hide that and control ourselves. Sometimes it doesn't work, but we have to make the effort. If you don't watch them, they won't watch you in most cases. That stays with the thought of practices that you can see. If you don't watch them, sorry, I lost my place. I haven't wrote a paper in 15 years, and I haven't read one in about the same amount of time, so I apologize for my stammering here. Once the match starts, you and your wrestler, once the match starts and your wrestler is on the line, this is where most parents lose their focus and calm attitude, including me. We must stay strong. This is when your wrestler needs you to be positive the most. Positive attitude is contagious. This is one of the toughest things for most parents to do, but I found it best for parents having trouble putting out that positive vibe, to give the wrestler their space. The further from the mat side the parent is, the more slip-ups we allow ourselves, without affecting the wrestler's attitude or focus. This is a process, and figuring out your wrestler's points will take time and practice. Sometimes it's not hard to keep your mouth shut when your kid is doing well. Other times, when your kid's getting beat up pretty bad, you tend to yell and cause a scene. The ref makes a bad call. The coach says something wrong. The kid hears that. Like I said, a positive attitude is contagious. If you think you're one of those parents, it's okay to not stand that side. We can go up in the stands a little further. Like I said, the further away we are, the less they can hear. If they can't hear it, they're focused on what they're doing, and it's like it never happened to a certain point. After the match is a key time. Emotions can be super high and super low. We have to stay positive, win or lose. As a parent, we tend to critique our wrestler at the wrong moments. Even with praise sprinkled in, the bad always seems to outweigh the good. As Coach Dad, this is tough. So I stick to the 1-1 rule. One good thing, one bad thing. And that's all I get, no matter what. So dads need to choose wisely. I mean that by, if we do 25 things wrong in the match and we did one thing right, pick one thing that the kid did wrong. We don't have to harp on 10 or 12 different things the kid did, because they're not going to remember you told them good job for staying in your stance if you badger them about everything they did wrong. This works really well with me and Piper. Coach Nate is actually a very big help with this. I send Piper over to him as soon as the match is over, after I give her 1-1. I'm dad. I'm not to a certain extent. You know, we're all dad volunteers. We don't really have any full-time coaches. We're all here because of our kids. After her one-on-one from me, it's a hug, a slap on the butt, and it's off to talk to Coach Nate. This seems to work well for us and keeps her process consistent, win or lose. That being said, we do the same thing whether she wins or loses. She never sees my attitude change. This is a huge help for her. It's one-on-one no matter what. If somebody's going to be mean, let Coach Jason be mean. Let Coach Keel be mean. Your dad or mom, you shouldn't be the one that has to be the mean one. Consistency is key on match days. That goes back to the win and lose. We try and do the same thing no matter what. It keeps the day consistent. It keeps the kids happy. A happy wrestler wrestles better in round 2. These days are sometimes 10 hours long. If you make your little kid mad that first match, there's a lot of days where they're just gonna go tank because you made them mad the first match. That's a long day wasted, in my opinion. So like I said, happy wrestlers wrestle better in round 2. After an exhausting day for all, it's time to take the ride home. As parents trying to keep it together all day, the ride is sometimes the worst. It gives us the audience we want to talk to about wrestling, our wrestling. It usually doesn't end well. Parents tend to start repeating themselves and critique a bit much in turn. Kids shut down and feel trapped. I'm just gonna wrap this up. We're pretty much through this whole thing. As for helping your wrestler fix things, video is key. A lot of us coaches might ask for videos. It is a tremendous help for us and you guys to see what your kid does right and wrong. Video watching as a parent, that's a whole other conversation. If you want to know how to watch videos with your kid, you can talk to me or you can talk to Coach Keel, and we can give you some key points, what to look for, what not to look for, what's the right thing to tell them, what's the wrong thing to tell them. Other than that, just having the video when I say, hey, can I watch that video? That is a tremendous help to your kids. Kind of gives you something to do during the day too. Gives you a task. Sometimes the days do get very long in between matches. I have some rules, quick rules that I try and stick by. Parents in practice don't mix. We must trust the coach. Attitude is everything. We have to make the day special. This was one thing that a couple of the people I sent the paper to, we kind of agreed and we kind of disagreed at the same time. I like to make the day special from youth league to the Olympics. We have fun. It keeps it consistent. Like I said, consistency is key to a productive day of wrestling. Some people say that it's not a special day, it's just like every other day. But the concept is the same. It is consistency makes the wrestlers wrestle at their peak of what they can. You gotta give them their space sometimes. Sometimes it's better to just let your kid learn on their own. They don't always need our help to get through a situation. Give them their space. You'd be surprised at what these little kids can handle once we back off. Cheer the right way. If you don't know what's going on, or the ref makes a bad call, or the coach makes a bad decision, we have to know how to cheer right. That goes back to the being too close to the mat. If we don't know how to cheer right, come talk to me or coach. We can give you a couple things to yell, and you can yell and scream those 5 things the whole season, and you can't go wrong. help, all you have to do is ask. We're all going through the same exact stuff together. Like I said, my daughter's wrestling. He's got a whole gaggle of them that's wrestling. You know, we're all going through this together. No wrestling talk on the ride home. That is one of my biggest rules, and it's one of the hardest things for me to follow. Being Coach Dad, I have so many things I want to tell her. It's not the right time. She doesn't listen. Most of them don't. The one good and one bad. I recommend trying that. You'd be surprised at how happy your kids are that it's just 1 and 1, and now he gets to go hang out with his friends, and dad's done yelling, and mom's done being crazy, all that good stuff. Never review videos the same day with your wrestler. We need that time and that space. Let the emotions calm down a little bit. Tempers flare up, dads repeat themselves, then we watch videos for 4 hours, and wrestling's no longer fun. It goes back to the first paragraph. Why do we quit sports? Because the sport's not fun. Underline. So, consistency wins, so find your wrestler's process through the entire process of wrestling. From practice all the way to match day, consistency wins. I can't say that enough. As I said in the beginning, our kids practice very hard to get better at the toughest sport on earth. We owe it to them to take a look at ourselves and ask, how can I improve? And what can I do to make myself better for them? Just like your wrestler, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time and practice. So slow down and enjoy the process and enjoy your kids while they're young. I love watching my daughter wrestle. I hope that you guys are the same way. If not, we wouldn't be here. I know all of you are the same people, actually. That is about all I've got. If we have any questions, I have a pocket full of cards that I'm going to throw on the table over there. Email me, text me, call me. I can answer any questions you need. Coach can answer questions. We are here to help. Do not be scared to ask questions. This will not be the end of you hearing about this. This kind of sets the groundwork for me and Coach to be able to approach you guys and maybe it not feel so awkward when I say, hey, crazy dad, stop being so crazy. That's about all I got. Thank you guys for listening to me. Sorry it took me so long.